near me. Mr. Baldwin, I'm sure you still meet the remark that what are the Negroes, why aren't they optimistic? And I apologize and preface this by the phrase the Negroes because it lumps together an awful lot of people. You and Floyd McKissick and Madam Clayton Powell and Hattie McDaniel and Jackie Robinson, and it's impossible, I suppose, to... But for want of a better phrase, if you'll allow me, they say, but it's getting so much better. There are Negro mayors. There's Negroes in all of sports. There are Negroes in politics. They're even accorded the ultimate accolade of being in television commercials now. And, I'm glad you're smiling. Is it at once getting much better and still hopeless?
Well, I don't think there's much hope for it, to tell you the truth. As long as people are using this peculiar language. It's what I was trying to convey before when I said that it's not a question of what happens to the Negro here or to the black man here. That's a very vivid question for me, But the real question is what's going to happen to this country. I have to repeat that. Now, if the Negroes, don't seem to be very optimistic, it's not because they suddenly all changed from happy, shiftless, dancing darkies down on the levee, picking all that cotton and singing praises to the master. They've not changed at all. They never were optimistic. All one's got to do is listen to Swing Low, Sweet Chariot and ask yourself what that song's about. Or try to really listen to what Ray Charles is really telling you. We have lived under these intolerable conditions for how many years? Nearly 400 years. We have evolved a certain kind of style to meet it, and a lot of that has been involved with the lies we had to tell to you, and the lies we had to tell to you, this compounds the disaster you believe because you wanted to believe it. But obviously you knew, every white man knows, that he would not himself, lying track for nothing. He would not himself allow his child to be sold from him as though the child were a mule. He would not himself allow himself not to have the autonomy of his own house and his own woman. He would not himself pick all that cotton and carry it to market just because he loved white people. We all know that. And the word Negro in this country really is designed finally to disguise the fact that one is talking about another man, a man like you, who wants what you want. And insofar as the American Republic wants to think there has been progress, they overlook one very simple thing. I don't want to be given anything by you. I just want you to leave me alone so I can do it myself. And it also overlooks another very important thing. Perhaps I don't think that this republic is the summit of human civilization. Perhaps I don't want to become like Ronald Reagan or like the president of General Motors. Perhaps I have another sense of life, which in fact my situation here has forced me to trust. And perhaps I know more about you and your institutions than you know about me. And perhaps I have a judgment on them. Perhaps I don't want what you think I want. And that there's nothing you can give me. Perhaps there is something that I can give you.
Where do you stand in relation to the Negro figures in the media we see who frighten us the most, and maybe some of you the most, the ones who want to burn it down, demolish it, the ones who have totally given up? I assume you haven't totally given up.
Well, I'm still alive. There's still breath in me. And so as long as breath is in me, I will never give up. But if you think that Rap Brown, you're referring to rap really, and Stokely, are something new, I refer you back to an old song. No one even knows who wrote it. And it's supposed to be spiritual. It's supposed to be about, Christian church, but it really is a slave revolt song. The man says, if I had my way, little children, great God, if I had my way, I'd tear this building down. It is not new for me. We've always felt that. It is new for you. And if we were white, if we were Irish, if we were Jewish, if we were Poles, if we had, in fact, in your mind, a frame of reference, our heroes would be your heroes too. Nat Turner would be a hero for you instead of a threat. Malcolm X might still be alive. It is that you can face in some ways. The discontent of white people, when they rise, they are heroes. And everyone is very proud of brave little Israel, a state against which I have nothing. I don't want to be misinterpreted. I'm not an anti-Semite. But when the Israelis pick up guns, or the Poles, or the Irish, or any white man in the world says, "Give me liberty or give me death," the entire white world applauds. When a black man says exactly the same thing, word for word, he is judged a criminal and treated like one, and everything possible is done to make an example of this bad nigger so there won't be any more like him. Now, you can do this if you like, until your party is over. But I know, after all, who my heroes are. And George Washington is not one of my heroes, for example. Neither is Booker T. Washington. What the American public has always tried to do is to accommodate me into a system which is always meant my death. They want me to become an accomplice to my own murder. That is what you really mean by integration.
That's impressive. I don't understand it. That last sentence.
Stokely Carmichael says, and he's quite right, that integration is a euphemism for white supremacy. The truth is that we have been integrated here since we got here. That is not what the battle is at all. If Negroes in this country arrange from every color under heaven, from yours to mine, to people even blacker than me, that gives away the history and tells us what happened. Or as an old black woman once put it to me, to sum it up, she said, white people don't hate black people. If they did, we'd all be black. That's something you got to face. You, the American Republic. We are your brothers, and you're disowned brothers and sons and sisters and daughters. You got to face that.
There's a sense in which I don't think you answered my question, and we
No
will
doubt.
be back in a moment. Stay with us. Mr. Baldwin, I guess what I meant by not answering my question was this. You get a kind of simple idea of what Stokely Carmichael and H. Rap Brown mean, and it's maybe because we may not read their words in complete form, but we see them for a minute on the news, and they're yelling, "Get guns, burn," so forth. And all I was asking really was, are you more moderate than that in your present mood? And are they saying too much? Are they over making a point?
Well, the point that they're trying to make cannot be overstated. I'm much older than Rap, and I'm much older than Stokely. And to that extent, I can be called more moderate, I suppose. But on the other hand, the difficulty here is this. I can't, and Martin Luther King said this too in another way, I can't really ask a black boy younger than, let's say, 20 years old, all right? 17 years old, 25 years old. There are two things I can't ask him to do. I can't ask him to allow himself to live on the terms bequeathed him by the American white people of this country. I cannot ask him to allow the forces which rule this country to emasculate him. I cannot do that. I won't do that. I don't, on the other hand, will not either, counsel a generation, to go out into the streets to die. But there is nothing in the evidence offered by the book of the American Republic which allows me really to argue with a cat who says to me, they needed us to pick the cotton, and now they don't need us anymore. And now they don't need us, they're going to kill us all off, just like they did the Indians. And I can't say it's a Christian nation. Your brothers will never do that to you because the record is too long and too bloody. That's all we have done. All your buried corpses now begin to speak. I can't depend on the American moral credit to save some of the people whom I love. Because you don't have that moral credit. You know, you told yourself, yourselves, and us for all these years nothing but lies. Now, I want you to understand something. I'm not interested in making an accusation. I'm not even talking about the past. I'm talking about the present. This is not an accusation. It is a plea for the life of this country. Because no matter what I say, no matter what Martin said, the despair in the ghetto, the despair throughout the country accumulates with every hour. And people grow up much faster than you think they do. People are uptight about Stokely now because he said black power. No one is concerned about white power, which is now wiping out Southeast Asia. No one's concerned about the white power, which keeps my children in the ghetto, which does not educate my children, except to become inferiors. This is power. And when the Republic reacts as it did to the linking of the two words, power and black, is a confession of what the country has done with its power.
Have you ever thought that there might be a basis for prejudice against Negroes specifically that is maybe deeper than anything anybody has said yet? I don't mean that I'm about to say it, but I mean by this, is it possible that you always have to deal with the prejudice against Negroes separately from almost all other racial prejudices? And has anyone ever offered a theory that it's something unrational, something sub-rational, some almost tribal, irreducible fear of the color black or something that may put that kind of prejudice into another category?
A great many people have suggested that. But I'm not sure that I entirely buy that. I'm not, I was lucky enough or desperate enough to live outside this country for a while. And I observed, that if I walk down the streets of Paris or Stockholm or Istanbul with, Phyllis, for example, nobody even noticed it. The only people I've known, the only people who really get uptight when they see a black boy walking with a white girl, for example, are Americans. And I've seen this a thousand times. I've seen it once. We're walking down the street, she and I, talking to each other, minding our own business. Or I'm walking down the street by myself, and here comes, somebody, with his girl. And something happens in his eyes, something happens in his face. I don't want his girl. I haven't even seen him. I don't care what they're doing. But something stiffens in him. Some trigger goes off in him. As I'm going to steal the girl. Well, it isn't because I'm black. It's because people pay for what they do. It's not because I want to steal his girl. He's uptight about me walking down the street, or uptight about Phyllis and me walking down the street. He's uptight because of some buried guilt. He knows what he's done. People always know. They pretend they don't, but they know. I don't want to rape, white women. But, I know how many of my women have been raped. And I know by whom, and so do you. Now, in fact, I don't think anything in the black ferment of the Black Revolution really involves revenge or is vindictive at all. It is the white imagination, the guilty white imagination, which makes this out of it, and it's this which paralyzed us in all our social activities. It's the reason no one knows anything about the labor unions, the schools, the situation of the people in the ghetto, nothing about the police, who are a very real menace to every black cat alive in this country. And no matter how many people say, you're being paranoid when you talk about police brutality, I know what I'm talking about. I survived those streets and those precinct basements, and I know, and every black cat in this country knows, what the policeman is really like. And furthermore, I'll tell you this. I know what he was like when I was really helpless, how many beatings I got. And I know what happens now because I'm not really helpless, but I know, too, that if I haven't got the presence of mind, to do whatever I have to do, he doesn't know that this is Jimmy Baldwin and not just some other nigger. You're going to blow my head off just like he blows off everybody else's head. And this is done with the will of the state. And this cannot be overstated. Mm-hmm. It can happen to my mother in the morning, to my sister, to my brother. It's only now beginning to be born on you since it's happening to your heroes. What has happened all these years to us? Mm-hmm. For me, this has always been a violent country. It has never been a democracy.
Right. I do get the feeling that you overstate for rhetorical purposes sometimes. And when you say the thing about the policeman, the simple phrase once come to my mind, but there are some good policemen, in the sense that when you say, I could never vote for the Republicans as long as Nixon is in the party, or I could never vote for the Democrats as long as, who shall I say, Senator Eastland or...
Senator Eastland, for example.
But that leaves no door open. There's no hope then.
Door to what? Let me try to make it very clear. What I'm saying may be stated badly or awkwardly, but what I'm trying to say cannot be overstated. No tongue can overstate it. You know, it takes you a long time in stammering to state it.
I agree. There's no eloquence equal to the race problem.
And of course, there are some good policemen.
Yeah.
You know, no doubt.
I just think you risk being misunderstood by people who would be, pardon the expression, sympathetic by what sounds like too broad a statement.
But you must understand that part of what is happening here is a tremendous gap between my experience of life, I'm using myself as a black man, right? And your experience of life, you as a white man, okay?
Right.
And you say sympathetic, for example. But you overlook, you know, I hate to put it this way, this may sound like an overstatement too, that I, historically speaking, have lived here with your sympathy. You know, for a very long time. It may have occurred to me now that if I could live with your sympathy as long as I have, I can possibly live without it. I mean, I want your sympathy anymore, maybe I can't afford it anymore.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not talking about individual policemen, and no doubt Nixon loves his children. I'm talking about the structure for which these people work.
Yes.
Policemen in the ghetto are not there, no matter what liberal newspapers may say, are not there to protect my life. They're there to protect your property.
Stay with us. Stay with us. We'll be back after this message.